Yes, yes, it finally came. The big one. Sonic.
3 hours later.
It's not the same.
Shit game. Sonic Frontiers? Why not? Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm back, and today we're talking about Sonic Breath of the Wild. Or Sonic Tears of the Kingdom. Wait, no. What is this called? Sonic Frontiers. Okay, so Sonic Frontiers is the newest game in the Sonic series. It's the sequel to Sonic Forces, which came out in 2017 and was a very bad game, in my opinion. So Sonic Frontiers it's an open world style game. They call it open zone, mainly because they're afraid of admitting that it's an open world. But let's all be real here, it's an open world. It takes a lot of inspiration from games like Breath of the Wild, right down to events like the Meteor Shower, which is just a blatant ripoff of Blood Moon. Yeah, all of the enemies respawn, all hell breaks loose, Sonic has to deal with it. But there is some pretty cool stars that are all falling to the ground, and there's this weird like casino roulette game that starts playing whenever you pick them up. I don't really know what that's about. So the story of this game follows Sonic, Tails, and Amy as they're flying across the ocean in search of the Chaos Emeralds. They've been reported to be in a new location that they've never quite been to before, and as they're going across the ocean, they get sucked into this brand new like plane of existence called the... They're called something. There are these 5 different islands where you have to find all of the Chaos Emeralds and fight different bosses. There's these like giant mechanical bosses. They're called Titans. Not Attack on Titan. That would be not very good for the Sonic game. Anyway, initially the group is completely separated as they reach the first island. Sonic is for some reason just free to roam around and run around and have as much fun as he wants, while Amy and Tails are trapped in these like cyber cages as they're stuck in a like limbo kind of dimension where they're stuck between like the digital world and the real world. They're not fully like physically there, but Sonic is able to interact with them by collecting these totems where you can stabilize the characters and talk to them and progress through the story, get like cutscenes and stuff like that. Amy's are hearts for some reason. I don't know if Sonic and Amy have some sort of relationship going on that we don't know about. There's something going on there that they're not telling us. What's going on, Sonic Team? 60 people. I know one of you knows. So a character I forgot to mention here is Knuckles. Knuckles is in the game and he's on the islands, but it's not shown exactly how he got there. Similar to Emperor Palpatine returning in The Rise of Skywalker, Knuckles is not shown in-game how he got to these islands. Instead, you have to look at a separate animation, not in Fortnite, but it is on YouTube, where Knuckles is sucked into these islands and he's also trapped in one of the cybernetic cages. Alright, what was I talking about again? Right. Somehow, Knuckles returned. How is this? Peculiar. So I'm not going to go too much into the story because I don't want to really talk spoilers here, but I think it's a really good Sonic story. It's definitely different from other games. You can tell it has more of a serious tone. It's written by the Sonic comics writer, Ian Flynn, I believe his name is. And it definitely has a much different tone than the other games. You can tell this by how Sonic speaks, because he talks more like this. Like, hey Tails, we're going to go collect the Chaos Emerald, instead of, hey Tails, we're going to collect the Chaos Emeralds, like this. That was a spot-on impression. So I want to talk about gameplay for a bit. The gameplay it's so-so for me. I think it's mostly good. There's definitely a certain level of Sonic jank that we're all just used to by now. There's a lot of sections where in the open world it'll go 2D for some reason. I find this a lot in the third island. There's a lot of sections where you'll go over a ramp and it'll change the game into a 2D plane. This is really annoying. It makes certain feats easier because you don't have as much maneuverability. However, I think it really breaks the action and it just doesn't really work in my opinion. I wish there was like an option to always keep the game in 3D, even though I don't really think that would work either. They shouldn't have done the 2D sections in the open world. I don't think they work, and they break the action a lot, and they're bad. So another new aspect of the gameplay is Sonic's skill tree. So Sonic has a whole skill tree, just like games like Jedi Fallen Order, or I can't think of any other examples, but Sonic has a whole skill tree where he can learn numerous moves. He has the Psy Loop ability, which you learn pretty early on, where you can circle an enemy and it basically you can just draw like a trail around them, and it like creates like a kind of like a wind cyclone that goes like. Sonic also has other moves where he'll summon a bunch of like Kamehameha balls and he'll just like launch those at the enemy. Oh my god. Sonic also has this new move called the parry. I mean, as gamers, we all know what to expect with a parry, like in Zelda and Smash. Or this parry, I think, was kind of underdeveloped, in my opinion. The way you use it is you just press the left and right bumper buttons on your controller, and as long as you're holding those buttons, you'll parry any attack that comes your way. I really think this just feels like half-baked, and that they should have had it so you have to actually release the buttons at some point to add any level of challenge whatsoever. I don't know whether I'm just like dumb or something. Well, I am dumb. But I found it challenging actually to learn that you just had to hold the buttons to parry something. I'm used to other games, especially like Smash, where you have to press a button and then release it immediately to parry something. And you gotta really get that timing down, because if not, you're not gonna parry. I was trying to do that, thinking that's how it would be, because that's how it works in a lot of other games, and I wasn't fighting the enemies very well, and I kept getting killed. And then I discovered that you could just hold it, and I felt like I was kind of cheating the game in a way, and I really don't like that move very much. It works, it's fine, but I gotta say, Sonic feels a lot more like animated in this game with his new moves. It's kind of like an anime in a way. Sort of like Sonic X? When's it coming back, Sonic? When's it coming back, Sega? When's it coming? I know we got Sonic Prime. Where's Sonic X? Where is it? So also scattered throughout the overworld, there's these levels called cyberspace levels, where basically you revisit old locations from older Sonic games, like Green Hill Zone, Sky Sanctuary.
I hate Sky Sanctuaries.
Chemical Plant. And there's also some new sections that are, as far as I know, they originated from this game, and there's no like real inspiration from areas from older games. So the cyberspace levels, while for the most part they work, there's a few problems I have with them, namely the 2D section. Sonic just feels overwhelmingly slow. He's kind of like more similar to Sonic Lost World Sonic in that fashion, but it's even worse. He's just so awkwardly slow, which makes platforming a lot harder, I think, because you expect Sonic to move at a certain pace. You expect Sonic to move like this, but when he moves like this, then you miss things. Like you'll miss jumps because you're overestimating how much momentum he has, how far he'll be able to jump. That kind of stuff, it really adds up. He controls differently in the 2D sections of the cyberspace levels than the 2D sections of the overworld, so there's some discrepancies there that just make it even harder to get used to. And because there's not very many cyberspace levels that are 2D, I didn't do all of them throughout my playthrough, so I don't know the exact numbers, but I believe there is more 3D sections. But because these 2D sections just feel so underwhelming and so slow, they really bring down cyberspace levels. I mean, don't get me wrong, Sky Sanctuary is there. It sucks so much. I think that single-handedly ruined cyberspace for me. But yeah, the 2D sections are pretty bad too. So back to the open world. I think it works great. Sonic controls very fluidly, it feels very nice to control. There's a bunch of mini-bosses scattered throughout the overworld. All of these guys have really interesting names. They feel very like cryptic in their presentation, I think, with the the graphic titles that come up whenever you encounter one. Like the squid boss, that one just feels very ominous and intimidating whenever you come across it. You literally fight Tyler Blevins, aka Ninja, as one of the bosses. He's actually on the last island, I believe. Yeah, you get to fight him. That's a pretty big guy. He's hard to take down. And then there's also the actual bosses that feel so grand in scope. These bosses require Supersonic to even fathom taking them down. Sonic tries to fight one in the beginning and gets completely just Dragon Ball Z right through a mountain. And he gets like killed. Supersonic feels very grand and he feels very needed. These bosses are, most of them are quite the spectacles to the eyes, especially the second boss for whatever reason. The first boss is nice. It's like a Sonic of the Colossus type of situation where you have to kind of like climb up the boss's legs and then get the final emerald that's atop its head, and then you can just basically parry until you win. But the second boss, you're flying around this desert island that you just spent hours exploring. You're flying around fighting the Wyvern boss. It's such a spectacle. While I love spectacle, this boss I have one pretty big problem with, and that's that there's too much going on. There's so many things on screen, like the various missiles that are being fired at you and different particle effects, that it becomes hard to kind of focus on what actually matters in the scene. There was a time during my first run through of this boss where I was doing perfectly fine throughout. I made it like to a quarter health left, and then the thing shoots a bunch of missiles at you and you have to react with a quick time event. I normally do great with quick time events. I'm a pretty decent gamer if I say so myself. Where this quick time event just came out of nowhere and I had no idea how to react to it because there's so many things on screen and there's a million things I'm trying to pay attention to that I kind of just got lost in the sauce and missed the event, and I had to restart the entire boss again. It doesn't bog down the game that much, I think. I still love the boss. It's such a spectacle, but I think sometimes this game is a bit too much for the eyes. So the other bosses in the game are alright. I think the second one really has the most spectacle. The third one, I'm trying to remember what that one even is, to be honest. I don't know. There's the fourth boss, which they really hype up as like the guy. Like, this is like the most powerful Titan. And that boss was really, it felt really anticlimactic. It was such an easy boss to take down and you were just doing the same thing throughout the whole time that it just felt very boring to me. Then there's the final boss, which I'm not going to go into spoilers. It's not even a boss if you're not playing on hard mode. And even then, it's barely a boss. It's not like the other fights at all. It's completely its own thing. And if you're playing on any option that's not hard mode, the whole boss is literally just a single quick time event. It's not fun. It feels very underdeveloped. And for a final boss, that's a very big letdown. I feel like I've been complaining a lot this video, but I really want to stress that I loved playing through this game. Namely, it's way longer than the Sonic Forces, like 5 times as long, so that automatically makes it a better game. Not actual metrics to go by, guys. The game works really well. I love controlling Sonic in the open world. I love the enemies. I love the story. I love that Eggman isn't really the villain here. He's kind of more of a third party, not going into spoilers. But yeah, a lot of things about this game, it just feels very, very well polished, and though I think it could do a lot better in some areas, I'm willing to forgive because we've had a lot of bad games over the years, and this is finally Sonic going in the right direction. So I'm willing to forgive a little bit of jank for the sake of a much better experience overall compared to past games. So yeah, that's all I really wanted to say about Sonic Forces today. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, maybe subscribe or like the video or something. Maybe give me a little clout, you know? So yeah, I will be back with another video, hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully it'll be sooner than like 3 months. Yeah, this is not the last time you'll see me, and I'll be back with another video. I'll catch you later.